Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that.
Story 1, The Will-o'-the-Wisp, the Light that Leads. Across the low marshlands and mist-wrapped fens of England, where the ground softens underfoot and the horizon blurs into twilight, there are lights that do not belong to any hearth, lantern, or star. They drift just above the earth, small, wavering flames, pale blue or gold, flickering in the distance as though beckoning. These are known as the will-o'-the-wisps. Wandering lights said to appear at the edges of paths, just far enough ahead to invite pursuit, never close enough to be held. Travelers who have seen them speak of a strange pull, not quite compulsion, but something quieter, a curiosity that deepens into certainty that the light is meant for them. Many tales tell of those who follow, a lone figure crossing the moor at dusk, catching sight of the glow, and alters their course, convinced it marks a safer path or hidden destination. The light moves as they move, hovering just beyond reach, weaving between reeds and shallow pools, drawing them farther from the known road. At times it pauses, flickering gently, as though waiting. Then it shifts again, leading onward into thicker fog or deeper marsh. Some who follow find themselves lost, circling unfamiliar ground until exhaustion overtakes them. Others vanish entirely, swallowed by the wet earth or the silence of the fen, their stories ending where the light continues. Yet not all encounters end in loss. There are quieter tellings, spoken less often, in which the light does not deceive but reveals. In these accounts, the one who follows does so, not out of haste, but with a kind of listening. They do not chase the flame, nor try to grasp it. Instead, they walk with it, allowing its presence to guide without forcing its meaning. The light no longer darts away, but steadies, hovering close enough to illuminate the ground beneath their feet. What once seemed distant becomes near, what once confused begins to clarify. The marsh, though still uncertain, opens into a path that can be walked. Some say these lights are spirits, souls caught between worlds, or remnants of those who wandered before. Others believe they are manifestations of the land itself, rising where earth and air meet in fragile balance. Some say these lights are spirits, souls caught between worlds, or remnants of those who wandered before. Others believe they are manifestations of the land itself, rising where earth and air meet in fragile balance. There are tales of trickster figures, like Will or Jack, bound to carry a flame as punishment, condemned to wander and mislead. But there are also whispers that the light is neither spirit nor curse, but something more elusive, a reflection of the one who sees it, shaped by intention and perception. In this way, the will-o'-the-wisp is not a guide in the conventional sense. It offers no fixed destination, no promise of arrival. It reveals the nature of seeking itself. The one who pursues without reflection may become lost in the shifting terrain. The one who observes, who allows the light to exist without possession, begins to see more clearly, not only the path, but their own place upon it. There are old warnings passed down in quiet voices, cautioning travelers not to trust every light they see. Yet alongside these warnings are subtler teachings that not all wandering is misdirection, and not all lights are meant to be feared. Some are meant to be witnessed, to be understood in their distance and their nearness at once. And so the lights continue to move across the marshes, appearing where they will, vanishing without trace. Some follow them and are never seen again. Some turn away and forget them entirely. But there are a few who walk with the glow just long enough to realize that it has already taken root within them. No longer something to chase, but something that remains, steady and quiet long after the mist has cleared. Story 2. Kitsunebi, the foxfire that remains. In the quiet hours when night settles over rice fields and wooded paths, there are lights that rise where no flame has been set, small and flickering, drifting low to the ground or lifting in slow arcs through the dark. These are known as the kitsunebi, the foxfires, said to be carried or conjured by kitsune, fox spirits whose presence moves between the seen and unseen. At times the light appears as a single wandering glow, at others as a procession of tiny flames, like a hidden festival passing just beyond the edge of sight. Those who witness them speak of a strange stillness that follows, as though the air itself has paused to listen. The fox, long regarded as a creature of intelligence and transformation, does not reveal itself plainly. It is said that where kitsunebi burns, a fox walks nearby, though rarely in a form that can be recognized. In some tellings, the fox carries the flame at the tip of its tail, the light trailing behind it like a breath made visible. In others, the fire gathers in clusters, illuminating a path that was not there before. Travelers who encounter these lights may feel drawn toward them, not with urgency, but with a quiet sense of invitation, as though something just out of reach has turned its attention towards them. There are stories of those who follow the foxfire and lose their way, circling through unfamiliar terrain until dawn breaks and the light fades. They return with little memory of the path they walked, only a lingering sense that the world shifted around them. Yet there are other accounts, spoken more softly, in which the encounter is not one of confusion, but of recognition. A lone traveler, pausing rather than pursuing, watches as the lights gather and disperse, noticing how they reveal the contours of the land, the slope of the hill, the outline of a tree, the presence of water where none was seen before. The light does not lead them away, but allows them to see more fully where they already stand. In certain traditions, kitsune are messengers of Inari, the kami associated with rice, fertility, and prosperity. In these roles, the foxfire is not merely a trick or illusion, but a sign of presence, a subtle indication that the boundary between worlds has thinned. The light becomes a form of communication, not through words, but through attention. To see it is to be seen in return, though what is recognized is not always clear. The encounter leaves an imprint, a sense that something has been revealed without being fully understood. The nature of kitsunebi resists certainty. It may guide or mislead, illuminate or obscure, depending not on its own intention alone, but on the state of the one who encounters it. Those who rush toward it seeking direction may find themselves disoriented, chasing a light that shifts just beyond their grasp. Those who remain still, who allow the light to exist without claiming it, often find that it settles into something quieter, a glow that no longer demands movement but invites awareness. Over time, the memory of such an encounter does not fade in the way ordinary moments do. The one who has seen kitsunebi begins to notice other subtleties, the way shadows gather, the way light moves across surfaces, the way presence can be felt before it is perceived. The world does not appear altered at first glance, yet something without perception has shifted. The boundary between what is seen and what is sensed becomes less rigid, allowing for a deeper, more attentive way of moving through the landscape. There are old cautions reminding travelers not to trust every light that appears in the dark. Yet these cautions are paired with an understanding that not all encounters are meant to be avoided. Some are meant to be witnessed, held without grasping, and carried forward in a way that does not require explanation. The foxfire, once seen, does not demand pursuit. It leaves behind a trace, subtle but enduring. And so the lights continue to appear, rising and fading without warning, moving through fields and forests as they have for generations. Some pass them by without notice, some follow and become lost, but there are those who stand just long enough to see the light for what it is. Not a path to be taken, but a presence that lingers, illuminating not the distance ahead, but the quiet glow that remains within them long after the fire itself has gone. Story 3. The Halo, Light that Rests upon the Living. In old accounts carried through churches, cloisters, and quiet village paths, there are tellings of a light that does not wander, does not flicker in marsh or field, but gathers itself around a person and remains. It is not kindled by hand, nor fed by oil or wick. It appears without summons, a soft radiance encircling the head or resting upon the shoulders, as though something unseen has chosen to make itself visible through form. Those who witness it do not always speak at once. For the light does not behave as ordinary flame. It does not cast shadows in the expected way, nor does it waver with the wind. It holds steady, gentle yet unmistakable, as if it belongs equally to the one who bears it and to something far beyond them. In the traditions of France and the wider Christian world, such light is often described around saints, mystics, and those who have undergone a profound turning of the soul. The halo, as it is came to be named, was not understood as ornament or reward, but as revelation, an outward sign of an inward alignment that could no longer remain hidden. In illuminated manuscripts and painted panels, it appears as a golden circle, a disk of brightness framing the face, but in the older tellings it is less defined, more like a living presence that settles and breathes with the one it surrounds. There are accounts of travelers who, entering a chapel at dusk, saw a solitary figure at prayer, their form quiet and unremarkable until the light revealed itself, not blazing, but quietly enduring, as though it had always been there, simply unseen. The emergence of such light is rarely sudden in these stories. It follows a path of devotion, of loss, of surrender to something that reshapes the interior life. A person who once moved unnoticed begins to carry a stillness that alters the space around them. Their words may grow fewer, their actions more deliberate, as though each movement has been weighed and understood before it is made. The light does not arrive to change them, it appears because they have already been changed. Those who encounter them may not understand what they see, yet they feel it, a presence that calms or unsettles, depending on what is brought into its reach. There are moments, spoken of quietly, when the light is seen by only one witness, a child looking up during a procession, a caretaker lingering at the edge of a room, a passerby pausing in the doorway of a chapel. Each glimpses something that cannot be confirmed by others. The figure stands as they always have, yet the air around them seems to hold a brightness that does not belong to the setting sun or the candle-lit walls. The witness carries the image away, unsure whether it was truly seen or imagined, yet unable to forget it. In this way, the light does not only rest upon the one who bears it, it passes into those who perceive it, altering their sense of what is possible within the visible world. The halo does not move as the wandering lights do. It does not lead or invite pursuit. It remains, revealing that the source of illumination is not always ahead or beyond, but can reside within a person who has come into alignment with something deeper than themselves. It does not demand attention, yet it cannot be entirely ignored. Those who stand near it may find their own thoughts quieting, their awareness shifting towards something more attentive, more present. The light does not speak, yet it communicates in a way that does not require words. Over time, the one who bears such light cannot return to an earlier way of being. Even when the glow is no longer visible to others, something of it remains, shaping how they see and move through the world. The boundary between inner and outer begins to soften, as though what once was contained has found a way to extend beyond the body without leaving it. The light becomes less in appearance and more a condition, a way of existing that cannot be fully concealed once it has taken form. There are those who dismiss such accounts as embellishment, the work of artists or storytellers seeking to honor the lives of the devout. Yet the persistence of these images, carried across generations, suggests something deeper, a recognition that there are forms of seeing that do not rely on ordinary sight. To perceive such light is not to witness spectacle, but to encounter a state of being made visible, however briefly. And so the stories remain, of figures who walked among others, outwardly unchanged, yet marked by a presence that cannot be fully explained. Some say it clearly, some only sense it, and many pass by without noticing it all. But for those who did see, even for a moment, the world did not return to what it had been. The light, once recognized, lingered, not always around another, but within their own awareness, steady and quiet, as though waiting to be understood. Story 4, The Lamp Spirit, the Flame That Stays. In many homes across the Indian subcontinent, as dusk gathers and the day gives way to evening, a small flame is lit, not for light alone, but for presence. The diya, a simple clay or metal lamp filled with oil in a cotton wick, is placed at thresholds, in prayer spaces, or near doorways where the inner and outer meet. Once lit, it is not regarded as an ordinary flame. It is watched as it steadies, as it draws breath and settles into itself, becoming something more than fire. In older tellings, it is said that when such a lamp is lit with intention, something awakens within it, not as a spirit separate from the flame, but as a presence that lives through it, quiet and attentive, observing without intrusion. There are households where the lamp is never allowed to go out completely. At dawn it may dim, at night it may burn brighter, but its continuity is maintained, passed from one lighting to the next, as though the flame remembers its own existence. Elders speak of this not as ritual alone, but as relationship. The lamp is tended, its oils replenished, its wick adjusted with care, and in return it offers a steadiness that extends beyond illumination. Those who sit near it often describe a shift, not dramatic, but unmistakable, as though the space itself becomes more aware, more gathered. Thoughts quiet, movement slow, and the ordinary rhythm of the household takes on a different weight. There are stories told softly and without embellishment of moments when the flame responds, a flicker that comes without wind, a sudden brightening as someone enters the room, a gentle dimming as a conversation turns heavy. These are not taken as signs to be interpreted in haste. The lamp does not speak, yet it participates, it listens, it holds what is brought before it, whether spoken aloud or carried in silence. In certain traditions, the flame is associated with Lakshmi, the presence of prosperity and harmony, invited into the home through light and care. In others, it is tied to Agni, the sacred fire that carries offerings between realms. Yet beyond these names and associations, the lamp itself becomes the point of connection. It is not the deity that is seen, but the effect of presence, the way the flame alters the atmosphere without force. Those who tend it regularly begin to notice that the light is not confined to the lamp. It reflects different on surfaces, rests longer on certain corners, and seems to follow the one who has grown accustomed to its presence. The act of lighting the lamp is simple, repeated daily, yet it carries a subtle shift over time. What begins as habit becomes awareness. The one who lights it starts to pause, to watch the moment when the wick catches, when the flame first struggles, then steadies. There is a recognition in that transition, a movement from uncertainty into clarity that mirrors something internal. The flame does not rush. It becomes itself gradually, and in doing so, it teaches without instruction. Those who grow within this practice often find that the light does not remain confined to the physical flame. It begins to shape perception. The way shadows are noticed, the way silence is held, the way presence is felt even in absence. These begin to change. The lamp is still there, burning as it always has, but something in the one who observes it has shifted. The boundary between outer light and inner awareness becomes less distinct, until the act of seeing is no longer tied to the flame alone. There are no grand claims in these stories, no declarations of power or transformation. The change is quiet, cumulative, carried through repetition and attention. A person may move through their day as they always have, yet something remains with them. A steadiness, a clarity that does not depend on circumstance. The flame, once external, becomes a point of reference within, not as something possessed, but as something recognized. And so the lamp continues to be lit. Evening after evening, in homes both large and small, some see only a flame, some notice its steadiness, and others come to understand it as something more, a presence that does not demand belief, only attention. It does not lead, does not call, does not reveal itself all at once. It remains constant and patient, waiting to be seen in the way it has always been. For those who come to recognize it, even briefly, the light does not leave when the flame is extinguished. It lingers, not as memory, but as a quiet continuity, carried forward in perception. The world does not appear altered, yet it is no longer seen in quiet the same way. The lamp is lit again the next evening, but something of it has already taken hold, steady and enduring, where it cannot be fully set aside.